Hello, and welcome to Sleepy Explorations. I'm glad you're here. Perhaps today felt long, or perhaps this is simply how you like to end your day, letting your thoughts drift somewhere quiet and far away. There's nothing you need to do right now, nowhere you need to go. Let your breathing slow, let your shoulders soften, and allow your attention to rest gently. Tonight, we're taking a calm journey across an ancient landscape shaped by time and sun and silence. We'll drift slowly over the sands of Egypt, where 3 pyramids have stood for thousands of years, not in a hurry, not to uncover secrets, just to observe, to wander, and to rest in their quiet presence. And as we move, if your thoughts begin to fade or your mind begins to wander, that's perfectly okay. You can simply listen or let sleep come naturally. Now, let us begin our calm journey over the Pyramids of Giza. From high above, the golden sands stretch endlessly in every direction, soft and undisturbed. The quiet, perfect triangles of the pyramids rest peacefully under the gentle morning light, their shapes seeming almost frozen in time. They rise from the desert floor with a stillness that invites us to slow down, to drift across this serene landscape and notice the subtle shadows and textures that emerge as the sun continues its slow journey across the sky. The air feels calm here, suspended between earth and sky, and there is a quiet wonder in the geometric perfection below, in the way these monuments rest so peacefully among the endless dunes. As we begin our gentle drift over this ancient landscape, the morning sun touches the eastern horizon with soft golden light. The desert awakens slowly, the temperature still cool from the night, the air clear and still. The pyramids cast long shadows westward, their dark forms stretching across the sand like silent companions to the stone giants that created them. Notice how the shadows are not harsh but softly blurred at their edges, the dust in the air creating gentle transitions from light to darkness. The Great Pyramid rises before us now, its edges catching the soft golden light of morning. From this height, the pyramid appears almost smooth, its surface flowing upward in long, steady lines that converge toward the sky. The morning light moves across its face slowly, revealing the subtle texture of limestone that has stood here for millennia. Yet as we drift closer, the individual stones begin to reveal themselves, each one placed carefully, each one carrying the texture of centuries. Notice how the sunlight spreads across the eastern face, illuminating the warm tones of the limestone, while the western side remains in soft shadow. This gentle contrast shifts and changes as we move, the light tracing each edge softly, revealing the pyramid's form in layers of brightness and shadow. The stones themselves tell stories through their surfaces. Some blocks show the marks of ancient tools, faint chisel marks still visible after thousands of years. Other stones are smoother, their surfaces polished by wind-blown sand moving across them in endless patience. The light catches these different textures in subtle ways, creating a patchwork of brightness and shade across the massive face of the pyramid. As we orbit slowly, the angle of light changes and new details emerge from what appeared uniform moments before. As we continue to orbit slowly, the desert surrounding the pyramid comes into view. Small ridges of sand stretch outward from the base, their lines soft and flowing, shaped by breezes that have moved across this landscape for thousands of years. The creates patterns in the sand, gentle ripples that flow like frozen waves, their crests catching the morning light while their valleys remain in subtle shadow. Here and there, darker patches of exposed rock emerge from beneath the sand, their surfaces smooth and weathered, worn down by the patient work of time and elements. The sand itself seems to shimmer faintly in the morning light, each grain catching the sun, creating a soft glow that extends in all directions. Watch how the desert stretches away from the pyramids, an ocean of gold that seems to breathe with the gentle movement of wind. In some places, the sand is almost perfectly smooth, while in others, it forms small dunes that rise and fall in gentle undulations. The interplay between smooth and textured surfaces creates visual rhythms across the landscape, patterns that the eye can follow as we drift higher. There is a peacefulness in this emptiness, in the way the desert cradles these ancient structures, allowing them to rest undisturbed in their eternal silence. The second pyramid stands nearby, slightly smaller than the first, its peak still crowned with a cap of lighter stone that catches the light differently than the weathered limestone below. This capping stone, preserved where others have been lost to time, creates a distinctive silhouette against the morning sky. From above, we can see how this pyramid aligns almost perfectly with its companion, the two structures positioned with a precision that feels both intentional and natural, as though they have always belonged here, in this exact arrangement. The shadows they cast stretch across the sand in long, dark lines pointing westward in the morning light, creating paths of darkness that contrast gently with the surrounding brightness. As we drift between them, notice the space that separates these two monuments. The distance feels carefully measured, neither too close nor too far, creating a relationship between the structures that speaks of planning and purpose. The space feels vast yet intimate, the silence profound, broken only by the soft whisper of wind moving across the stones. The sand in this space between shows the tracks of wind patterns, small ripples and drifts that have formed in the shelter created by the massive structures. The textures of the pyramid's surface become more visible as we move closer, as the angle of light changes with our position. Faint lines of erosion trace their way down some blocks, carved by centuries of wind-blown sand acting like liquid sandpaper, slowly wearing away at the ancient stone. While other stones remain relatively unmarked, their surfaces protected perhaps by position or by a harder composition of limestone. These subtle variations create a patchwork of light and shadow across the pyramid's face, each stone telling its own quiet story of endurance and time, of standing firm against the elements for longer than human memory can easily comprehend. The edges where the stones meet are softened by age, their once sharp corners now gently rounded, the precise joins between blocks blurred by millennia of weathering. This gives the entire structure a sense of organic flow, as though the pyramid has slowly merged with the desert itself, becoming part of the natural landscape rather than standing apart from it. The boundary between constructed and natural becomes unclear in this process, the work of human hands and the work of wind and time flowing together. Small paths wind through the sand around the base of the pyramids, their tracks barely visible from this height, faint lines in the golden surface that suggest the passage of visitors over time. These faint lines in the golden surface curve gently around the structures, following natural contours, taking the easiest routes across the uneven ground. They create soft patterns that complement the geometric precision of the pyramids themselves, organic curves alongside angular forms. Near one path, a few scattered rocks rest in the sand, their placement seeming almost deliberate, though they are likely just fragments weathered free from the ancient stones, now resting where the wind has carried them over time. Notice how these small rocks cast their own tiny shadows, miniature versions of the great shadows cast by the pyramids themselves. Even the smallest elements of this landscape participate in the play of light and shadow that defines the desert. There is something peaceful in these small details, in the way human presence and natural forces have mingled here over time, each leaving gentle marks without disturbing the profound calm of the place, without diminishing the sense of timelessness that pervades everything. The third pyramid appears smaller from our vantage point, positioned slightly apart from its companions, creating a triangular relationship between the three monuments. As we drift toward it, the morning light reveals that its surface is rougher than the others, more of the outer casing removed or weathered away, exposing the core structure beneath in a way that the others do not show as clearly. This gives it a different character, less smooth, more textured, the individual blocks more prominent and varied in their appearance. The sunlight catches the edges of these stones, creating countless tiny shadows that give the pyramid's surface a complex, almost rippling quality, like gentle waves frozen in stone. Each block projects slightly, creating small ledges and overhangs that catch the light and cast small shadows. The sand around its base rises and falls in small dunes, shaped by wind into soft curves that echo the pyramid's angular form, the natural and constructed forms mirroring each other in their different ways. From above, the three pyramids together create a pattern across the desert, their positions forming a relationship that feels balanced and harmonious, each structure in conversation with the others through the space and alignment they share. The spaces between them are filled with sand and light, with the soft shadows that shift as the sun moves across the sky, with the gentle emptiness that allows each structure to be seen fully. As we orbit slowly around all three, there is time to notice how each one differs from the others in subtle ways, how their surfaces catch the light differently at this hour, how their sizes and angles create a gentle rhythm across the landscape, a visual music played in stone and shadow. The desert stretches beyond them in every direction, an ocean of golden sand that seems to extend forever. Only distant rocky outcrops and the faint horizon break the expanse where earth meets sky, where the golden sand gradually fades into the pale blue of morning. Small variations in the desert surface create subtle patterns. Areas where the sand is slightly darker or lighter, where rocks peek through, or where dunes rise higher than the surrounding plain. The sun climbs higher now, its light growing warmer, more direct, the angle changing, and with it, the character of the illumination. The shadows of the pyramids begin to shift and shorten, their movement imperceptible from moment to moment but clear when we look away and back again. The eastern faces become fully illuminated, their stones glowing in the strengthening light, each block clearly defined. while the western faces darken slightly, creating a stronger contrast than existed in the softer light of early morning. This changing light reveals new textures in the stone, highlights edges that were hidden earlier, creates depth where surfaces appeared flat in the horizontal rays of dawn. The desert sand, too, changes color as the sun rises, moving from pale gold to richer, deeper tones, the increased light intensity bringing out warmer hues. Yet despite this transformation of light and color, the pyramids remain constant, their forms unchanging, their presence steady and calm as the day unfolds around them, as the light plays across their surfaces in its daily dance. Watch how the light moves across individual stones, how some catch the full brightness of the sun while others remain in the shadow of neighboring blocks. This creates a texture of light and dark across the pyramid's face, a subtle pattern that changes constantly as the sun's angle shifts. The play of light reveals the three-dimensional nature of the structure, the way it projects into space rather than being a flat surface. A bird circles high above one pyramid, its wings catching the light as it glides effortlessly on rising thermals, the warm air beginning to rise from the stone as the sun heats its surface. The bird's shadow, small and quick-moving, passes across the pyramid's face, a fleeting darkness that appears and vanishes in moments. Other birds appear in the distance, tiny specks against the sky, their movements adding life to the scene without disturbing its fundamental stillness. The faint texture of wind-blown sand creates delicate patterns near the base of the structures, tiny ripples in the surface that extend for a few meters before disappearing into smoothness. These ripples flow around obstacles, curve along contours, create organic patterns that contrast with the geometric precision of the pyramids themselves. Notice how the wind has shaped the sand into small crescents on the lee side of rocks, protected areas where sand accumulates in the shelter from the prevailing breeze. A cluster of rocks at the desert's edge casts the only real darkness in this landscape of light and gold, their shadows deep and cool-looking even from this distance. These rocks are weathered and rounded, their surfaces smoothed by sand and wind, their colors ranging from pale tan to darker browns. They rest in the sand as though they have always been there, as permanent in their small way as the pyramids are in their grand scale. These small observations add layers to the experience, gentle points of interest that exist simply as part of this peaceful scene, elements that complete the landscape without demanding attention. The largest pyramid dominates the view once more as we circle back, approaching from a different angle, seeing it in a new light. From this angle, notice how its sides step inward in subtle increments, each layer of stones creating a gentle recession as the structure rises toward its peak. This creates a rhythm, a pattern that the eye can follow upward, stone by stone, layer by layer, until reaching the truncated summit where the capstone once rested, now lost to time and treasure seekers. The missing peak gives the pyramid an unfinished quality, as though it is still resting in some eternal pause, waiting for completion that will never come. Yet this truncated form has become part of its character. The flat top now is familiar as the pointed peak would have been. The sun touches this flattened summit directly now, illuminating it fully, making it glow against the darker sky beyond, a bright platform at the top of the massive structure. From this vantage point, we can see how the pyramid rises in distinct courses, each layer of stones creating a horizontal line that circles the structure. These lines are irregular, varying slightly in height from course to course, giving the pyramid a subtle texture even from a distance. The stones themselves vary in size, some large blocks several feet tall, others smaller, fitted together in patterns that speak of the builder's skill and patience. The desert wind moves across the sand, invisible but present, creating subtle shifts in the surface that are barely perceptible from this height. We can see its effects rather than the wind itself, the way sand grains dance and settle, the way small plumes form and disperse. Occasionally, a small plume of sand rises and drifts, carried by a gust before settling back down into stillness moments later. The pyramids stand unmoved by these gentle movements, their weight and solidity anchoring them firmly to the earth, their surfaces barely touched by the breeze that shapes everything around them. This contrast between the fluid, changeant desert and the permanent, unchanging stones creates a peaceful balance between movement and stillness, between the temporary and the eternal. The sand is always moving, always being reshaped, while the pyramids remain, their forms fixed and permanent. This dynamic creates a meditative quality to the scene, the interplay of change and permanence playing out endlessly. As we drift higher, the full scope of the plateau becomes visible, the landscape revealing itself in greater detail. The three pyramids rest on a slightly elevated area that rises gently from the surrounding desert, this raised ground giving them even greater prominence. This elevation is subtle, not dramatic, but it allows the structures to be seen from great distances, to dominate the landscape in a way they could not if built on the desert floor. Small valleys and depressions in the plateau's surface create gentle shadows, their contours soft and worn by time, the edges rounded by weathering. The sand fills some of these low areas, creating pools of gold among the darker rock, soft accumulations that shift and change with the wind. In other places, the bedrock is exposed, showing the natural limestone from which the pyramids were carved, the same stone in its unworked state. This connection between the monuments and the living rock beneath them emphasizes how the pyramids grew from this place, how they are made of materials drawn from the earth on which they stand. The afternoon light begins to shift, becoming warmer, more golden. The sun passed its zenith and beginning its slow descent toward the western horizon. The pyramids now cast their shadows eastward, dark triangular shapes that mirror the structures themselves, extending across the sand like silent companions stretching away from their sources. These shadows are not sharp, but softly blurred at their edges, the particles of airborne sand diffusing the light slightly, creating gradual transitions from brightness to darkness. Watch how these shadows lengthen almost imperceptibly, their movement so slow that it can only be sensed rather than seen directly, a reminder of the sun's patient journey across the sky. If we remain still and observe, we might notice the shadow's edge moving across a particular rock or feature, the darkness slowly advancing as the sun continues its arc. This movement is steady and unchanging, the same movement that has occurred every day for thousands of years will continue for thousands more. The quality of light in afternoon is different from morning, warmer and somehow thicker, the air holding more dust and heat that creates a slight haze softening distant views. The pyramids glow in this light, their stones seeming to absorb the golden rays and reflect them back in gentle radiance. The sand around them shifts from gold to amber, from amber to copper, the colors deepening as the afternoon progresses. Small structures appear near the pyramids as we orbit lower, their forms simple and weathered, built from similar stone but on a much more modest scale. These buildings rest quietly in the shadow of the great monuments, their purposes long forgotten, their walls partially collapsed or buried. The sand has partially buried some of these structures, leaving only their upper portions visible, creating the impression that the desert is slowly reclaiming everything, patiently covering the works of human hands. Notice how these smaller structures relate to the pyramids, how they cluster near the larger monuments as though seeking shelter or association. Their weathered state contrasts with the relative preservation of the pyramids, showing how different scales and construction methods affect longevity, yet the pyramids themselves resist the slow erosion more effectively, their massive forms too substantial to be hidden, too enduring to be worn away completely by sand and wind and time. The stone of the pyramids shows countless subtle variations in color as the afternoon deepens, ranging from pale cream to warm gold to touches of rose in certain lights. These color shifts are gentle, barely noticeable individually, but together they create a richness in the pyramid's appearance, a sense that these stones are not uniform, but rather a collection of unique pieces. Some blocks show darker patches where minerals have stained the surface over time, while others remain lighter, their surfaces perhaps protected by position or orientation from the processes that darken stone. Small veins of different colored stone run through some blocks, natural variations in the limestone visible where the surface has weathered enough to reveal the internal structure. These details are invisible from a distance but emerge as we drift closer, adding complexity to what seemed simple, adding interest to what appeared uniform. The texture of the stone varies as well, some areas rough and pitted, others relatively smooth, the surface quality depending on the particular limestone layer from which each block was cut. As we continue our slow drift, the space between the pyramids becomes a focus, the negative space as important as the structures themselves in creating the character of this place. This emptiness is full of light and air and subtle textures, the sand smooth in some places and rippled in others, forming patterns that complement the geometry of the monuments. The occasional rock or fragment of stone provides small interruptions in the golden surface, small dark spots in the sea of light. The scale of this emptiness emphasizes the size of the pyramids, the way they command the landscape not through aggressive dominance, but through quiet presence, through the simple fact of their existence at this scale, in this place. The empty space allows each pyramid to be seen fully, to exist in its own sphere without competing for attention, yet their alignment and positioning create relationships across this space, invisible lines connecting them into a unified composition. The wind picks up slightly as the day progresses, the temperature differences between heated stone and cooling sand creating air currents that move across the landscape. We cannot see this wind, but we can see its effects. The way sand begins to stream from the crests of dunes, the way small dust devils form and dissipate in the distance. The pyramids remain silent witnesses to this movement, their surfaces receiving the wind without response, their forms unchanged by its touch. Only the sand responds to the wind, shifting and settling in endless small adjustments, maintaining the desert's fluidity even as the pyramids maintain their solidity. This constant change in the desert provides movement and life to the scene, preventing the stillness from becoming static. The sand is never the same twice, always being reshaped, always forming new patterns, while the pyramids watch over these changes with eternal patience. Small clouds begin to appear on the horizon as afternoon transitions toward evening, their forms soft and wispy, stretched thin across the pale sky by high-altitude winds. These clouds cast no shadows yet, too insubstantial to block the sun, but they add a sense of depth to the sky, creating layers of atmosphere that give context to the scene below. The monuments seem to reach toward these clouds, their peaks pointing upward into the vast emptiness above, connecting earth and sky through their simple geometric forms. Watch how these clouds drift slowly, moving across the sky at a pace that matches the unhurried character of this place. Their motion is smooth and constant, following wind patterns far above the desert floor. As they pass overhead, their shadows race across the sand far below, but from our height, these shadows are barely visible, just subtle darkenings that appear and vanish. Small cracks and fissures become visible in individual stones as shadows deepen within them, the lowering sun angle causing light to play across the surface differently than at midday. These marks of age and weathering do not diminish the pyramids but rather enhance them, adding character and history to their surfaces, making them more than just abstract geometric forms. Each crack tells a story of expansion and contraction, of heat and cold cycling through the stones over centuries. The limestone expands in the day's heat and contracts in the night's cold. This cycle repeated millions of times, creating stresses that slowly fracture the stone. Some cracks are wide enough to hold sand, thin lines of gold crossing the pale stone. Others are hairline fractures, barely visible, yet present nonetheless. These patterns of weathering create texture, create visual interest, create evidence of the pyramid's long existence. The sun continues its descent toward the western horizon, its light becoming warmer and more directional, its rays now striking the pyramids at an acute angle. The pyramids now glow with a deep golden color, their stones seeming to hold the sunlight, to absorb and reflect it simultaneously, becoming sources of light themselves. The eastern faces of the pyramids fall into shadow now, while the western faces receive the full intensity of the late afternoon sun. The sand around them takes on similar warm tones, the entire landscape unified in this golden hour, everything touched by the same gentle, rich light. Notice how the shadows stretch even longer now, their forms distorted by the low angle of the sun, creating exaggerated versions of the pyramids that reach across the desert like dark fingers pointing toward the eastern horizon. These shadows are now much longer than the pyramids are tall, stretched by perspective and angle into elongated triangles. The plateau shows its own textures and patterns in this light. Areas where bedrock is exposed, revealing the natural layers of limestone, the horizontal strata laid down in ancient seas, now exposed to air and light, while other areas are covered by sand that has blown up from the surrounding desert, creating a patchwork of rock and sand. These patches of sand create soft transitions between the natural rock and the worked stone of the pyramids, blurring the boundaries between what is natural and what is created, between the eternal geology of the earth and the ancient but still temporal works of human hands. As evening approaches, the quality of light becomes softer, more diffuse, the harsh brightness of midday replaced by a gentle glow that seems to emanate from the landscape itself. The pyramids appear more dimensional now, their forms more sculptural, the interplay of light and shadow revealing their three-dimensional presence more clearly than the flat light of noon ever could. The desert seems to breathe in this light, its surface alive with subtle color shifts, its textures more visible, its character more pronounced. The temperature begins to drop as the sun sinks lower, the desert releasing the heat it absorbed during the day. The air cools and becomes more comfortable, less harsh than the heat of afternoon. This cooling creates gentle breezes as air moves from cooler to warmer areas, creating wind that whispers across the sand and stone. Birds appear occasionally, distant specks against the darkening sky, their flight paths curving around the pyramids as though respecting their presence, as though recognizing these structures as landmarks in the featureless desert. These small signs of life add movement to the scene without disturbing its fundamental stillness, reminders that this landscape, though seemingly empty, is not devoid of existence, but rather home to creatures adapted to its harsh conditions. The birds circle and glide, using the thermals that rise from the sun-warmed stone, their movements effortless and graceful, perfectly adapted to their environment. As the sun sinks lower toward the horizon, the shadows of the pyramids merge with the general darkness beginning to spread across the eastern desert. Their western faces still glow with the last direct sunlight of the day, illuminated while everything around them falls into shadow. This creates a gentle contrast, the pyramids seeming to be half in day and half in night, suspended between two states, belonging fully to neither, existing in a moment of transition. The sky begins to deepen in color, moving from pale blue to richer tones of azure and violet, while the horizon takes on warm shades of orange and pink where the sun approaches the edge of the earth. These colors shift and change moment by moment, the sky becoming a canvas on which the sunset paints its daily masterpiece. The pyramids stand silhouetted against this changing sky, their forms simplified to pure geometry, triangles of darkness against the luminous background. The desert cools more rapidly now as the sun disappears, the temperature dropping noticeably as the source of heat vanishes. The stone of the pyramids, which has absorbed heat throughout the day, now begins to release it slowly into the cooling air, creating gentle currents of warm air that rise from their surfaces. These currents disturb the air slightly, creating faint distortions in the view, barely perceptible wavering that adds a sense of life to the monuments, even as they stand perfectly still. Small paths and tracks across the sand become more visible in the low-angle light of sunset, their slight depressions catching shadow while raised areas remain briefly bright. These marks trace routes around and between the pyramids, evidence of countless footsteps over time, both recent and ancient, all contributing to the subtle shaping of the landscape. The paths wind and curve, following the easiest routes, avoiding obstacles, connecting the pyramids to each other and to the world beyond. The final light of day touches only the peaks of the pyramids now, leaving their bases in shadow, creating the impression that they are floating, disconnected from the earth, suspended in the air by some invisible force. This ethereal quality lasts only moments as the shadow line rises quickly up their faces, consuming the light, drawing darkness upward like a tide. Then the light fades further and they become dark silhouettes against the still bright sky, their forms simplified to pure geometric shapes, triangles of darkness that stand eternal against the fading day. The desert takes on cooler tones as twilight deepens, the warm golds and oranges of sunset giving way to the blues and purples of dusk. The sand loses its individual texture in the dimming light, becoming more uniform, a smooth surface of gentle color that extends to the horizon. The pyramids stand as dark masses now, their details invisible, their presence felt more than seen, their forms known from memory rather than direct observation. Stars begin to appear in the darkening sky, faint at first, barely visible against the residual light that still fills the western sky. They gradually become clearer as night establishes itself, as the last light fades and the stars emerge from the background glow. The pyramids remain visible as dark shapes against the slightly lighter sky, their forms permanent and unchanging while the heavens rotate slowly above them, the stars wheeling in their ancient patterns. The desert night settles in completely, bringing stillness and silence. The wind calms as temperatures stabilize, the air becoming still and quiet. The sand becomes fixed and motionless, no longer shifted by breeze or wind. The silence is profound, broken only occasionally by the distant sound of night creatures beginning their activities, sounds that carry far in the still air. As we drift away slowly, the pyramids rest quietly in the gathering darkness, timeless and calm. Their forms are barely visible now, but their presence is undeniable, their quiet authority undiminished by the absence of light. They have stood through countless days and nights like this one, will stand through countless more, patient witnesses to the passage of time, markers of human aspiration and achievement. The stars wheel slowly overhead, the same stars that have watched these monuments since their completion thousands of years ago will watch them for thousands of years to come. The pyramids remain below, solid and enduring, their stillness a counterpoint to the slow movement of the cosmos, their permanence a reminder of persistence in an ever-changing world. The darkness deepens further, and the pyramids merge completely with the night, becoming one with the darkness that surrounds them. They are visible now only as absences of starlight, as shapes defined by what they obscure rather than what they reveal, dark voids in the field of stars. Their presence remains palpable, felt in the stillness, known through time and memory. The desert surrounds them in darkness, the sand cool now under the night sky, the air still and calm, everything at rest. The pyramids stand silent in the night, their long vigil continuing as it has for millennia, as it will for millennia to come. The day's journey ends as it began, in quietness and peace, the pyramids unchanged by the passage of the sun, the desert eternal in its patience, the scene complete in its simplicity and its profound calm. I'll leave you here now with the soft music and the quiet of the desert as the night settles in.